Rain slammed hard against the roof as wind howled through the fields. Nia Caldwell stood in the doorway of her farmhouse, robe clutched tight around her, staring at the man standing on her porch. He was soaked from head to toe, curls dripping. Water onto the wooden boards, chest rising and falling under a rain-slicked shirt that clung to his strong frame. His eyes locked onto hers with a mix of pride and desperation. "I don't need your charity. Just your phone," he said, voice rough but steady. "You'll catch pneumonia before you even make that call." "Come inside and dry off," Nia replied, standing her ground as lightning lit up the sky behind him. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then he gave a slow, reluctant nod. 5 minutes. He stepped inside. The scent of rain, pine, and something undeniably male filled the air as she closed the door behind him. "Towels are in the closet," she said. He nodded once and started. "Drying off. I'm Nia Caldwell, Malik Carter. My truck's about half a mile back." "Battery's dead," he said, rubbing the towel through his hair. Another roll of thunder shook the house. The lights flickered, but stayed on. "The phone's in the kitchen," Nia told him, guiding him through her cozy living room, "but good luck reaching anyone tonight." Malik dialed, spoke briefly, and hung up with a frustrated exhale. "No service." Not until morning. She studied him from the kitchen doorway. He was tall, broad, deep-skinned, with the kind of presence that didn't just walk into a room but filled it. His hands were rough, like he knew real work. But his voice and posture suggested something more. "I'll take you into town tomorrow. You can stay in the guest room. Sheets are clean." "I'll wait in my truck," he said, jaw tight. "That's nonsense. This storm's tearing through everything." "The creek's probably already flooding the road," she said. Just as lightning struck again. The lights went out. "That settles it. You're staying." She moved without hesitation, lighting candles throughout the downstairs. The soft glow painted him in warmer tones. She handed him a steaming mug of coffee. "Sit. I'll get you something dry to wear." When she returned with a flannel shirt and old sweats, Malik had already started a small fire in the hearth. "Hope that's all right. Thought we could use the warmth," he said, voice quieter now. She nodded, realizing how intimate the room felt. A stranger in her home, fire crackling, rain pounding outside, silence settling between them. "You hungry?" she asked, her voice softer now. "No need," he answered. But his stomach answered louder than he did. Nia moved around the small kitchen, stacking sandwiches with practiced hands. Malik sat on the sofa, his flannel now dry and stretched across his broad shoulders. The fire threw golden light across his face, softening the hard edges and shadows that clung to him like armor. She handed him a plate and coffee, then settled into the armchair across from him. He ate in silence at first, then finally spoke. "Was headed to the Brooks Ranch, out past the county line. They were hiring. Guess fate had other plans." "You're a rancher?" she asked. "Yeah, more or less. Know my way around horses, fences, land." "What about you?" he asked. "You live out here alone?" "I'm a vet. This place came with enough pasture to treat animals. Just me and the work." He glanced around the room, eyes scanning the modest furniture, the scattered medical books, the dog bed in the corner. "Brave woman, pretty isolated out here. I can handle myself." Their eyes met again. For a moment, something passed between them, not quite challenge, not quite respect, but something strong. "I don't doubt it." The rain kept hammering the roof, but the tension in the room began to shift. Conversation grew easier. Malik talked about breeding lines and soil health, quoting Baldwin and Morrison in the same breath. He was nothing like she expected. There was depth, knowledge, grace, under all that silence. "You're not what I expected," Nia admitted. "People rarely are," Malik said quietly. He stood to hang his jacket near the fire. Something slipped from the pocket and landed on the hardwood floor. Nia bent to pick it up, her fingers closing around a weathered piece of paper. She glanced down, and her breath caught. A newspaper clipping. The headline burned into her mind. "Millionaire developer's son disappears after scandal." She looked up, eyes wide. The photo was of Malik clean-cut, standing beside an older man in a sharp suit. A name was printed beneath the image. Elijah Carter III. "This is you," she said, not accusing, just certain. Malik stepped forward and snatched the clipping from her hand. His entire demeanor shifted, face shutting down, voice suddenly flat. "It's nothing. Old news." "Malik," she started, but he cut her off. "I should get some sleep. Which way to the guest room?" Nia stood, her thoughts racing. The article mentioned accusations, missing documents, corporate theft, environmental scandals. Everything in her instinct said to ask questions. Dig deeper, but something in his face stopped her. She pointed toward the stairs. "Bathrooms to the right, towels are in the cabinet. Breakfast is at 7. He paused at the top step, glanced back once, his voice softened. "Thank you for the shelter, Miss Caldwell." She stood in the silence after he disappeared down the hall. Outside, the storm kept raging. Inside, so did her thoughts. She had given shelter to a drifting man during a storm. But she was starting to realize he might be bringing one of his own. Morning came with a strange quiet. The storm had passed, but the damage it left behind was written in broken branches and flooded fields. Sunlight filtered through the curtains of Nia's bedroom as she sat up. The weight of the night still pressing on her chest, she found Malik in the kitchen. Already dressed in his now dry clothes, standing at the stove, pouring coffee into 2 mugs. "Hope you don't mind," he said. "Figured I'd make myself useful." Nia nodded, caught off guard by the way he looked in the morning light. Less mysterious. Still strong, still unreadable, but less guarded. "I should check the damage," she said, taking the mug from him. Yard outside looked worse than she expected. A huge oak had fallen across the driveway, completely blocking any vehicles from getting in or out. The small creek nearby had overflowed, flooding the lower pasture. "Road to town's washed out too," Malik said, stepping up beside her. "Walked down to check while you were still sleeping." She turned to him, startled. "How long will it take to clear?" "County crews are working. With damage like this, could be 3 days, maybe more." The truth settled between them. She was stuck, and not alone. "I can help," Malik offered. "With cleanup, with repairs. Least I can do." Nia hesitated, but practicality overruled her caution. The barn roof was leaking. The pasture gate was down. And she was just one person. The roof in the barn's caving. Animals need dry stalls. They spent the morning working side by side. Malik handled tools like someone raised on them. He patched the roof with precise, quick movements, nailed down fence posts, cleared broken limbs from the paths without complaint. He didn't talk much, but when he did, his voice had weight. "You've done this before," Nia said, as he fastened a new hinge onto the chicken coop door. "Learned a lot these last 2 years," he said. "Since you left your father's company." His hands paused. He looked up at her, eyes steady. "Yes." Before she could ask more, the phone inside rang. The landline was back. Nia rushed in to answer. It was Tasha Green from the horse rescue, her voice frantic. "The fences are down. Water's rising. I've got 12 horses, I can't move alone." "We're coming," Nia said, glancing out at Moloch. "I've got help." They took her truck, weaving through debris and washed out roads. Malik stayed quiet in the passenger seat, tension growing in his jaw. Nia gripped the wheel tighter. "Whatever's in your past, it doesn't matter right now," she said. "Needs help? And so do her horses." He nodded slowly, jaw easing as he looked out at the road ahead. Tasha Green's horse rescue sat on 20 acres just outside Cypress Valley. Normally peaceful, the land was now half underwater. Several horses huddled together on a patch of high ground as the creek surged dangerously close to the fencing. Tasha ran toward Nia's truck the moment it pulled in. Her hair was pulled back tight, boots soaked to the ankle, and her face filled with worry. "Thank God," she said, looking between Nia and Malik. "Fence is down. Water's rising fast." "This is Malik Carter," Nia said. "He's been helping me with storm damage." Tasha raised an eyebrow, eyes flicking to Malik's scuffed boots and steady stance. "You know horses?" "Yes, ma'am." "Then, grab that rope, and prove it." For the next hour, they worked fast. Malik helped secure fences and string a rope path to guide the panicked animals towards safer ground. Most of the horses moved without too much resistance, except one. A large bay with a jagged scar along its side pawed at the mud, kicking and snorting. Eyes wild. "That's Storm," Tasha said. "Rescued from an abuse case, doesn't trust people, especially men." Malik watched the animal carefully. "May I try?" Naya and Tasha exchanged a look, then stepped back. Malik didn't go straight at the horse. He approached at an angle, speaking low, steady. He didn't reach for the lead. Just stood nearby, voice calm, presence grounded. Minutes passed. Storm's ears twitched. His muscles trembled, but he didn't bolt. Malik slowly raised a hand, palm open. The bay sniffed the air, nostrils flaring. Another moment passed before Storm stretched his neck forward and pressed his nose to Malik's hand. "I'll be damned," Tasha whispered. With patience and gentle words, Malik led the horse to safety. The others followed. Once the horses were secure inside the barn, Tasha turned to Malik with new respect in her eyes. "Where'd you learn that?" she asked. "Animals know who they can trust," he said. "And people." Naya asked quietly. Before he could answer, a black SUV pulled up fast on the gravel. Sheriff Reggie Vaughn stepped out, boots crunching the soaked earth, eyes scanning until they landed on Naya. "Might need help out here," he said, removing his hat. His gaze shifted to Malik. "Don't believe we've met." "Malik Carter," Malik said, extending his hand. Reggie shook it with a grip that lingered a second too long, passing through. "Looking for work, headed to Brooks Ranch." Reggie nodded slowly. "Roads should be cleared by tomorrow. I'll let Terrence Brooks know you're coming." Nia saw the tightness in Reggie's jaw, the way his eyes never left Malik. She knew this man. He'd been asking her out since high school, never quite taking no for an answer. "Malik's been a huge help," she said pointedly. "Couldn't have managed without him." Reggie smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Always glad to see good Samaritans during emergencies. Speaking of which, Naya, could I have a word?" She followed him a few steps away. "You know anything about this guy?" he asked, voice low. "His truck broke down. He needed shelter," Nia said, "and now he's living in your house alone." "I can handle myself, Reggie, just looking out for you," he said, glancing over his shoulder. "Something about him doesn't sit right. Ranch hands don't usually wear $500 boots, even old ones." She hadn't noticed the boots before, but now she did. "I'll run." "His name," Reggie said. "Standard procedure. Storms bring all kinds of people through here." "That won't be necessary," Nia said firmly. But he was already walking back toward his SUV. "See you at the Heritage Jubilee this weekend," he called. "Roads should be clear by then." After he left, the three of them worked in silence, reinforcing the fencing and moving feed to higher ground. As they drove back to her farm, the sun was dipping low, casting golden light over the battered land. Malik sat beside her, eyes on the road, voice low. "Sheriff seems real protective." "Tasha told you about him," Nia said. "She said he's had a thing for you since 10th grade. Never got the message. He means well, but he's going to dig," Malik said. "He'll find out who I really am." Nia tightened her grip on the steering wheel. "Will he find anything?" Malik looked out at the passing trees. "Nothing I'm ashamed of. But things that need context." They pulled into her driveway, still half blocked by the fallen oak. Malik had cleared enough space to get through earlier, and now the house stood bathed in evening light. "Why'd you leave it all?" she asked suddenly. "The money, the name, the legacy." Malik was quiet for a long time. "Because some shelters," he said, "are really prisons, no matter how gilded." 3 days after the storm, Malik moved his things to a small cabin. On the Brooks Ranch, the roads were mostly cleared now, and, technically, there was no reason for him to keep coming back to Nia's farm, but he did. Every evening, sometimes with groceries, sometimes with tools, sometimes with nothing more than silence and eyes that watched her like she mattered. That evening, he showed up holding a fresh loaf of bread from town and a wildflower he'd picked on the side of the road. "Peace offering," he said, as she opened the door. "For taking up space in your home?" Nia smiled and took the flower. "You weren't a burden. I needed the help." In the days that followed, they fell into a rhythm. Fixing fences, rebuilding the chicken coop, sharing meals and stories, talking about horses, land, the kind of quiet strength it took to care for both. "You're a natural with quarter horses," Nia said one evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the trees. "Always had a way with them. My father wanted me in a suit. I'd sneak out to the stables whenever I could." She looked at him. "Tell me about him." Malik's jaw tightened, then slowly relaxed. Elijah Carter Sr. built Carter Global from one ranch into a real estate empire, hotels, golf courses, land developments. He sees the world as something to own, not something to understand. And you don't. "I believe in stewardship, not domination," Malik said quietly. "Is that why you left?" "Part of it," he admitted. 2 years ago, I found documents proof that he paid officials to rezone protected land. I confronted him. He said that's how business is done. Told me to grow up. Be practical. What did you do? Took copies of the documents and walked away. Left everything behind. The money, the name. Just packed one bag and disappeared. Nia stared out across her fields. "And have you figured out who you are without all of it?" He turned to her. His gaze held weight, but no fear. "I'm getting closer every day." The moment between them stretched, quiet and charged. She leaned toward him slightly, drawn by something unspoken. Just as their shoulders brushed, her phone rang. It was Tasha. "Don't forget the Heritage Jubilee this weekend," she said cheerfully. "And bring your handsome cowboy. The whole town wants to meet him." Nia rolled her eyes, laughing as she hung up. "She's not exactly subtle," she said. Malik smiled. "I'd like to go. I want to see the place that shaped you." Saturday evening, they walked through the town square, where booths lined the sidewalks under strings of lights. A local band played from the gazebo, filling the air with old-school soul and country blues. Nia introduced Malik to everyone. The feed store owner, her clients, Ms. Alberta, the retired librarian who used to let her read after school when she had nowhere else to go. "These people love you," Malik said quietly. "They see you." "It took time," Nia replied. "But once you're in, you're family." The band slowed into a ballad, and Malik extended his hand. "Dance with me." Nia hesitated for just a second, then took it. He guided her into a gentle two-step, his hand firm on her waist, her fingers resting on his shoulder. Around them, couples swayed beneath the lights, but the only thing Nia felt was him, his warmth, his strength. The calm rhythm of his breath. Near hers. "I haven't danced in years," she whispered. "You're a natural," he said. Breath brushing her cheek, the world narrowed down to the space between them. When the song ended, neither moved. Their eyes met, and this time, there was no interruption. Malik lowered his head, his lips brushing hers in a kiss that started soft but deepened quickly, with something hungry and real. Nia's hand tightened. On his shoulder, her breath caught, her heart raced. "I've wanted to do that since the moment I saw you in the rain," Malik said as they broke apart. "Even when I was glaring at you from the porch," she teased. "Especially then." Before she could respond, a voice broke the moment. "Well, well." They turned to see Sheriff Reggie Vaughn standing a few feet away, arms folded. "Enjoying the festival?" "We are," Nia said, not stepping away from Malik. Reggie's eyes flicked from her to Malik. "Mind if I borrow you for a minute, Nia?" "Official business." Malik gave her hand a squeeze. "I'll grab us some lemonade." Reggie led her away from the music and leaned in. "What are you doing?" "Enjoying my evening," Nia said. "You don't know anything about him." "Know enough." He pulled a folded paper from his jacket and held it out. Elijah Malik Carter III, heir to Carter Global, disappeared 2 years ago. His father says he stole confidential documents that he's unstable. Nia kept her voice even. He told me who he is. Did he tell you his father has private investigators looking for him? That the documents he took could be worth millions. That's his business. And it doesn't change who he is now. Reggie stepped closer. You always see the best in people. But sometimes, they're hiding worse. Like someone who uses their badge to run background checks on my friends. She snapped. He flushed. I'm looking out for you. No, you're overstepping. She took the paper and walked away. Malik stood by the lemonade stand. His expression changed as he saw her face. Everything okay? He asked. Nia held out the paper. Reggie's been investigating you. Malik didn't even flinch. I figured he might. Why didn't you tell me about the accusations? About the investigators? I was going to. He led her away from the crowd, to a quieter spot near the old oak tree. Nia, I didn't take those documents to hurt anyone. They contain evidence of crimes, bribes, environmental violations. I took them to stop something bigger, to protect people. Then why not go to the authorities right away? Because my father has friends in high places. I needed to be sure it got to someone who couldn't be bought, and I needed time to prove to myself I could make it without the Carter name. Nia searched his face. Are you in danger? Not right now, but my father wants this handled quietly. He'll come at me with lawyers and money, and whispers in powerful ears. I don't care about any of that, she said. I do, he replied. Because for the first time in years, I have something to lose. That night, standing on Nia's porch, Malik kissed her again. It was deeper this time, full of fire and fear and longing. When he pulled back, his eyes were darker but softer too. I'm falling for you, Nia Caldwell, he said, and it scares the hell out of me. She placed her palm against his cheek. Why does it scare you? Because, for the first time in 2 years, I've got something worth fighting for. 2 weeks after the Heritage Jubilee, Nia sat in her clinic finishing paperwork on an injured pit bull when the bell over the door rang. Sheriff Reggie Vaughn stepped inside, hat in hand, face tight. Got a minute? He asked. Nia's body tensed. Since their confrontation at the festival, things had been cold between them. What is it? Reggie placed a manila folder on her desk. I've been contacted by investigators hired by Elijah Carter Sr. Nia didn't touch the folder. They say Malik stole proprietary documents, sensitive material that could damage Carter Global if it gets out. He told me about that. Reggie raised his eyebrows. Did he tell you his father's claiming those documents include trade secrets? That Malik's threatening to leak them unless he's paid off? That's not what he's doing. There's more, Reggie said. Quietly, they claim Malik had a breakdown before he vanished. That he became paranoid, started accusing his father of things that couldn't be proven. Nia stood up. Her voice stayed calm, but there was steel behind it. You've met him. You've talked to him. Does Malik Carter seem unstable to you? Reggie looked away for a second. No, he doesn't. But the Carters have money and power. They don't make these accusations lightly. Or, they're trying to destroy his credibility before he can expose them. Reggie sighed. I'm not here as the sheriff. I'm here as someone who's known you since childhood. Be careful, Nia. Whatever's going on with that family, it's bigger than this town. After he left, Nia called Malik. Straight to voicemail. She called again. Still no answer. That evening, Malik arrived at her house, soaked with sweat, clothes stained with mud. Sorry I didn't call back, he said. Brooks had me moving cattle all day. Flash flood warnings. We had to get them to high ground. She led him into the kitchen where she'd laid the folder Reggie brought. We need to talk. Malik scanned the papers, his jaw clenched. He's getting desperate. Of course he is. Saying I had a mental breakdown is a smart move. If people believe I'm unstable, they won't believe what I've found. Do you believe there's still time to stop him? Malik looked up sharply. I've already been in contact with a federal prosecutor. Someone who specializes in corporate fraud and environmental crime. I'm meeting her next week. I'll hand over everything. Naya exhaled, relieved. That's good. It'll be over. Malik shook his head. Not over. Not yet. Once I give them the evidence, it'll go public. My father will be charged. The company will take a hit. Stockholders will panic. People might lose jobs, some innocent, some guilty. Your father made this mess, not you. Malik sat down, ran a hand through his curls. He's still my father, Naya. As cold as he is, I spent my whole life trying to impress him. Now I'm the one taking him down. What are you really afraid of? He was quiet for a long time. That, after it's done, I won't know who I am anymore. For 2 years, I've defined myself by who I'm not. What happens when I stop running? You'll still be Malik Carter, Naya said softly. The man who helped save my barn, who calmed a broken horse, who danced with me under string lights. He pulled her close, pressed his face into her hair. I don't deserve you. Before she could answer, her phone rang. Tasha's voice came through, tight with panic. The creek's flooding. It's rising fast. The horses were on the way, Nia said, grabbing her keys. The rain had started again, heavier than expected. By the time they reached the rescue, water was already pooling in the fields. Tasha was struggling to guide 2 horses to higher ground. The others are still in the back pasture, she shouted. And the bridge is almost underwater. Malik didn't hesitate. He turned to Naya, voice firm. That bridge won't hold both of us. I'll go. Help Tasha with these 2. Before she could stop him, he sprinted across the slick, swaying bridge. Nia's heart pounded as she watched him disappear into the rain. For the next hour, they worked desperately to move all the animals to safety. Water surged around their boots. Malik returned leading Storm, the traumatized bay. Across the now-cracking bridge, that's when it happened. A giant branch broke free and slammed into the supports. The wood shuddered, groaned. Nia screamed. He urged the horse forward, voice steady, even as the boards splintered beneath them. He reached solid ground just as the bridge collapsed behind them, swallowed by the current. They didn't have time to rest. Water had already started creeping into the main barn. We need to evacuate, Tasha said. The fairgrounds have covered stalls. They began prepping trailers. Tasha climbed a ladder to grab emergency kits from the loft. A loud crack rang out, the ladder split, and she crashed to the concrete floor below. Naya reached her first. Blood streamed from her head, her arm bent at a sick angle. She needs a hospital, Naya said, applying pressure. I'll stay with the horses, Malik said. You drive. I can't leave you here alone. These horses are her life. I won't let them drown. Go. The drive to the county hospital was brutal. Rain hammered the windshield. Tasha drifted in and out of consciousness. When they finally arrived, doctors rushed her into emergency. Nia paced the waiting room, dialing Malik's number again and again. No answer. When she was finally allowed to see Tasha, she was sedated. Her arm was in a cast. Her head was bandaged. She's got a concussion and a clean break, the doctor said. We're keeping her overnight. Naya sat beside her bed. Tasha stirred once. Emma, she mumbled. I heard something before I fell. Don't talk, just rest. No, Sheriff Reggie, on the phone, talking about Malik, said he found him, was giving updates. A cold chill slid down Nia's spine. Are you sure? Tasha nodded weakly. Your father sends his regards. Those were the last words Nia remembered before rushing out of the room and heading for her truck. She had to get back to Malik. But with Reggie involved, this wasn't just about corporate secrets anymore. This was about control, about power. And Malik was in real danger. Nia sped through the rain-slicked countryside, heart pounding with each passing mile. Tasha's words echoed in her ears. Sheriff Reggie had been in contact with Elijah Carter Sr., if that was true. Then Malik wasn't just missing, he'd been taken. When she arrived at the rescue, the lights in the barn were on. The horses were calm in their stalls, but there was no sign of Malik. Malik, she called, Rushing through the rows. Nothing, she checked the tack room. A chair was overturned. A shattered lantern lay in pieces. A phone with a cracked screen sat near the doorway. It was Moloch's. The last message on it chilled her to the bone. Your father sends his regards. Naya clutched the phone, mind racing. Furniture was scattered. A single bootprint was pressed into the dirty large to be Malik's. She reached for her phone and nearly dialed Reggie. Then she stopped. Tasha's voice echoed again. He found him. He was giving updates. If Reggie was working with Elijah Carter Sr., he couldn't be trusted. Instead, she called Terrence Brooks at the ranch. Is Malik with you? She asked, double quotes, no. Last I heard, he was helping you evacuate the horses, Terrence said. That was 3 hours ago. 3 hours. Plenty of time for someone to snatch him and vanish into the storm. She searched every inch of the barn for a clue. In the corner, beneath a fallen saddle blanket, she found a small weathered notebook. Inside was Moloch's handwriting, neat, structured, coordinates, code names, property numbers. On one page, a crude map marked the surrounding area, her farm, Tasha's rescue, other local lands, all highlighted. A note in the margin read, Carter Global Subsidiary Purchases Surrounds Watershed. It was proof he'd been tracking how his father was buying land around Cypress Valley's water source. This was the evidence. At the bottom of one page, Malik had scribbled, Emergency contact, Marcus Freeman, 5555-78823. With trembling hands, Naya called the number. Sullivan. This is Naya Caldwell. I'm a friend of Malik Carter's. He's in trouble. There was a pause. Where are you? Bright Hope Rescue outside Cypress Valley. I'm 30 minutes out. Stay put. While she waited, she searched the barn office and pried open a locked metal box hidden behind supply receipts. Inside were Moloch's collected documents, financial records, fake permits, email printouts. The latest file was a development plan for a massive luxury resort. Right through her farm, through Tasha's rescue, through homes, families, water. A truck pulled up outside. Naya tensed, pitchfork in hand. A tall man stepped inside, hands raised. Naya Caldwell. I'm Marcus Freeman, Olivia's brother. She lowered the pitchfork but kept her guard up. She never mentioned a brother. She doesn't know what I do. I work military intelligence. Malik reached out months ago. I didn't know he was here in person. He's gone. Reggie took him. I'm sure of it. Show me what you found. He flipped through the notebook, nodding as his expression hardened. He mapped everything. He was right. Carter Global is circling the watershed. There's more, Naya said. He left property numbers in code. Marcus studied the notebook, then opened Naya's laptop and pulled up the county database. He cross-referenced the numbers. There, he pointed. An old hunting lodge, purchased under a shell company 3 years ago. Private road, remote, no neighbors. That's where they're holding him. Then we go. Marcus shook his head. We need confirmation before calling state authorities. If we're wrong, Carter's lawyers will bury it. I'm not waiting. You know those woods. I know every inch. He studied her. All right, we observe. No heroics until backup arrives. They took Marcus's truck, cutting through back roads. After a mile, they continued on foot under cover of trees. The rain had lightened to a steady drizzle. Fog curled low across the forest floor. They reached a clearing. The lodge sat in silence. Beneath swaying pines, 2 black SUVs were parked out front. Lights glowed behind drawn curtains. Marcus pointed. One guard patrolling. Military stance, armed. They moved closer and found cover behind a fallen log. Through a window, they spotted Malik seated, restrained. A bruise darkened his cheek. Sheriff Reggie paced nearby, looking agitated. A tall, silver-haired man stood over Malik, calm and cold. Elijah Carter Sr., Marcus whispered. That's him. Security was tight. Marcus counted 3 armed men and Reggie maybe more, inside. We need to call the state police now. A twig snapped behind them. Up hands where I can see them. They turned to find a security guard with a pistol pointed at them. He was clean-cut, expression blank. Professional. Inside the lodge. Malik looked up and went still as they were dragged into the room. "Let her go," he said. "This is between me and you." Elijah Carter Sr. stepped forward, perfectly composed. His suit was spotless, his cufflinks gleaming. "On the contrary," he said, "Miss Caldwell appears very involved." "Family matter," Reggie said. "It got complicated." "This is kidnapping," Nia said. "No. This is a wellness intervention. My son had a breakdown, took confidential files. We're getting him." "Help. I've seen the documents," Nia said. "So has Marcus. They're real, and they're already with federal authorities." It was a bluff. But Elijah's eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing." Marcus stepped forward, expression unreadable. "I specialize in digital contingency planning. If I don't send a cancel code every 6 hours, a data drop goes to the FBI, the media, and environmental watchdogs." Elijah's jaw tightened. "You've made a mistake. This land belongs to me." "This land belongs to the people who live on it," Nia said. "You want the water, the homes, the history, but you can't buy everything. I've built empires," Elijah snapped. "You think you can stop me with a laptop and a storm shelter vet?" Before Marcus could respond, one of the guards stepped in. "Sir, we have a problem, state troopers. 10 minutes out." Elijah looked at Reggie. "Did you call them?" "No," Reggie said. "I did," Marcus replied calmly. "Standard protocol. When I miss a check-in, you're bluffing again." "Am I?" Outside, distant sirens wailed. "Get the trucks ready." "All of them," Elijah barked. "That's abduction," Nia said. "That's family," Elijah growled. Marcus crossed his arms. "You run now, and you only make it worse." A deep silence filled the room. Reggie looked at Nia. Her eyes didn't waver. "You swore an oath," she said quietly. "You said you were protecting me. Do it now." Something shifted in Reggie's face. Shame, maybe regret. He turned to Elijah. "They're staying. All of them." "You'll regret this," Elijah hissed. "Not as much as I'd regret letting it go," Reggie said. As the sirens grew closer, Nia rushed to Malik's side, untying his wrists. His skin was cold. His eyes held more pain than fear. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never wanted you caught in this." "I already am. We all are." Blue and red lights flashed across the lodge windows as state troopers closed in. Malik Carter wasn't alone anymore, and neither was the fight. The troopers entered with sharp voices and steady hands. In seconds, Elijah Carter Sr. was surrounded. Malik stood at Nia's side, his wrists red from the restraints, but his posture unshaken. Reggie stepped back and raised his hands. The lead officer held up a warrant. "Elijah Carter, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of conspiracy, fraud, and violations of the Clean Water Act." Elijah didn't move, didn't argue. But his eyes locked with Malik's. "You destroy everything I built," he said. Malik didn't flinch. "What you built was corruption." "I'm not destroying it, I'm exposing it." They handcuffed Elijah and led him out. As he passed his son, something flickered in his expression, not anger, not hate. Maybe for the first time, recognition. In the days that followed, the story exploded. News outlets covered the arrest. Environmental groups launched investigations. Carter Global's stock plummeted. Malik Carter's name filled headlines alongside words like whistleblower, hero, traitor, and son. At Nia's farm, Malik chopped wood just after sunrise, the axe swinging with rhythm and power. Nia watched from the porch, coffee in hand, heart full and heavy at once. "You're up early," she said. "Couldn't sleep," he replied. "The prosecutor wants to meet tomorrow." "This is it, then. No turning back." "Second thoughts?" "No. But I keep thinking about the employees. The people who'll be affected." "Your father's actions caused this, not yours," Nia reminded him. "Marcus said the government wants to prosecute the ones responsible, not shut down the whole company." Malik nodded. "Still, the Carter name won't mean the same thing anymore." "Maybe that's a good thing," she said. "Maybe it needs new meaning, new direction." Before he could reply, a truck pulled into the drive. Tasha stepped out, arm in a sling but walking strong. Marcus followed, carrying lunch. "We thought you could use company," Tasha said, holding up a box of sandwiches. Around Nia's table, they sat together, people who had come through a storm and weren't going back. "The watershed angle is our strongest case," Marcus said. "We've confirmed that Carter Global falsified environmental studies, bought up land around the valley's only clean water source." "What about Reggie?" Nia asked. "He's cooperating fully," Marcus replied. "Said he didn't know how deep it ran, thought he was just feeding location updates in exchange for donations." "It's not up to me whether people believe that." They all turned when Tasha cleared her throat. "I got a call this morning from Carter's legal team." "What?" Malik asked. "They want to buy my rescue," Tasha said. "Offered 3 times what it's worth." Everyone fell silent. "Told them to go to hell. Also, I recorded the call." Marcus smiled. "The prosecutor will love that." Before anyone could respond, Terrence Brooks arrived, hat in hand. "Something's happening. You all should know. Carter Global reps are knocking on doors, offering money, big money. Folks are starting to say yes. They're trying to secure land before the charges stick," Marcus realized. "Trying to build facts on the ground. We need to tell the community," Nia said. "Most people don't even know what's at stake." That afternoon, they made calls, visited neighbors, explained everything. The real plans, the impact on water, the history, the bribes. Some were skeptical. Most listened. By evening, they had spread the truth to almost every landowner in the watershed zone. As the sun set, they gathered back at the farm. The air was quiet, the sky streaked with orange and purple. Just as peace settled over the porch, Marcus's phone rang. His face darkened as he listened. "That was my contact at the prosecutor's office," he said. "Elijah Carter is flying in tomorrow. He's holding a community meeting. Wants to present a new eco-friendly development plan. He's trying to flip public opinion before the court does," Malik said. "And he might succeed," Terrence admitted. "This town needs jobs. If he promises them clean progress and money, people will listen." "Then we show up," Nia said. "All of us, we speak the truth." The community center was packed the next morning. Every chair was filled, and people lined the walls, whispering and waiting. At the front of the room, Elijah Carter Sr. stood flanked by advisors and polished display boards. He wore a calm, confident expression, the kind you learn from decades of power. Malik and Nia entered together, hand in hand. The whispers grew louder. Some people recognized Malik from news reports. Others from town. Elijah began the presentation with practiced charm. "We're here to discuss opportunity," he said, clicking through slides of green lawns, water features, and smiling families. "An environmentally responsible resort and recreation center. We're creating jobs, improving infrastructure, and protecting the natural beauty of Cypress Valley." Some heads nodded. Charts were impressive. The offer sounded generous. But Nia felt her gut tighten. When Elijah opened the floor for questions, Malik stepped forward. "Most of you know me by now. I'm Malik Carter, and yes, I'm his son." The room hushed. "My father paints a beautiful picture, but this is what he's really planning." He turned to Marcus, who connected a tablet to the projector. Plans filled the screen, real ones. They showed clear-cut forests, diverted water routes, massive structures where creeks and farms now stood. "This isn't about helping our community," Malik said. "It's about exploiting it." Elijah stepped forward, smiling tightly. "These are outdated drafts. Internal concepts we've already dismissed." "Then explain these," Marcus said, pulling up dated emails sent just weeks ago detailing plans to bypass environmental protections and bribe officials. The crowd began to murmur. "Context matters," Elijah said. These were hypothetical discussions, like the fake environmental studies Tasha called out, or the fake donation offers. Elijah tried to regain control, but more townsfolk began to speak. Their questions turned sharp, their eyes turned skeptical. "I've lived here my whole life," said Mr. Simmons. an elderly black farmer from the back. And I've seen what these kinds of promises lead to. 5 years after the jobs, nothing but poisoned soil and boarded-up homes. Elijah's voice hardened. We're offering a community development fund. $20 million, locally managed, no strings. The room paused. That was a lot of money. Enough to rebuild, to invest, to change lives. It's a bribe, Malik said, wrapped in a gift box. Naya stepped forward, her voice calm but clear. I grew up in a town like this one. A company came through when I was 16 with the same promises. Within 5 years, our drinking water was contaminated. Wildlife disappeared. Most of the jobs were temporary. When the construction ended, so did the hope. Don't let that happen here. Elijah's eyes narrowed. You're passionate, Miss Caldwell. Perhaps you'd consider joining our advisory board. Handsome compensation. A real chance to influence. I'm not for sale, and neither is this land. Everyone has a price. Not everyone. More townsfolk stood up, small farmers, teachers, ranchers, parents. One by one, they voiced their refusal. A wave of resistance swept the room. Elijah turned to Malik, voice low and bitter. You did this. You turned them against me. Against the name I built. No, Malik said. You did that. I just revealed the truth. Sirens blared outside as federal agents entered the center. Elijah Carter Sr. barely reacted as they read him his rights. Conspiracy, fraud, Clean Water Act violations. As they led him away, he paused, locking eyes with his son one final time. This time, there was no anger, just something heavy. Maybe loss, maybe understanding, maybe nothing. In the days that followed, the headlines exploded. Carter Global was investigated, restructured, and fined. Malik was granted full whistleblower immunity. The watershed project was protected. The land around Cypress Valley was safe for. Now, back at the farm, under a sky painted gold by sunset, Malik stood on the porch with Nia, her hand in his. A breeze rolled through the fields. Peace had returned. The prosecutor offered me a role in the company's restructuring, Malik said. Advisory. Helping fix what my father broke. Nia nodded slowly. Are you going to take it? Don't know. Part of me still feels like I'm standing in his shadow. You're not. You're standing in your own light now. Malik reached into his pocket and pulled out a small wooden box. Inside was a simple gold band with a green emerald. It's not flashy, he said, but it's real. Like this life. Like you, Nia Caldwell. You gave me shelter when I was lost. Not just from the storm, but from myself. I found home here. I found you. Will you marry me? Nia stared at the ring, then at the man who once showed up on her porch, soaked in rain, full of mystery and fire. The man who risked everything to do what was right. Yes, she said, tears in her eyes. Yes, to all of it. He slipped the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly. Later that night, they brought champagne to Tasha's rescue. Storm, the once frightened horse, now followed Malik like a loyal shadow. The Conservation Trust is official, Tasha said, lifting her glass, and they want me to run it. They're offering you a position too. Ecological restoration consultant, Malik blinked. Here, in Cypress Valley. Unless you'd rather go back to corporate suits and city offices. He looked at Naya. No. This is where I belong. 2 years later, the autumn sun poured through the windows of the Pine Valley Animal and Wildlife Center. In the surgery room, Naya Caldwell Carter finished suturing a rescued border collie's injured leg. There you go, Jake, she said, smiling as she lifted the dog from the table. Keep that cone on for 10 days, no matter how much he begs. The elderly farmer chuckled. Don't know what we'd do without you, Dr. Caldwell. She smiled at the name, hyphenated. Earned, as the farmer left Olivia, now fully recovered, entered through the back hallway. Clipboard in hand. Transports confirmed for Thursday, she said. 3 former racehorses, and 1 neglected pony, all from the county seizure. Perfect, Nia said. Malik's finishing the new paddock this afternoon. The once modest clinic had transformed. Now, it was a full rehabilitation and rescue center, a community anchor. Funded in part by penalties paid by Carter Global, it had become a model for how justice could rebuild. Any word from Marcus? Nia asked. He's flying in tomorrow, Olivia said, grinning. Said he has news. Refused to say what kind. After helping close up, Nia drove home through the golden hills of Cypress Valley. The farm she once managed alone was now a living ecosystem of purpose. Expanded buildings, native grasses, horses grazing in rich pastures, restoration in every direction. She found Malik near the north pasture, working alongside two young men, former Carter Global employees he'd personally helped retrain. As Nia walked up, Malik looked over his shoulder and smiled. That smile still made her heart race. We just finished the fencing, he said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Good timing. The new rescues arrive Thursday. He slung his arm around her shoulders as they watched Storm, the once abused bay horse, trot along the fence line, tail flicking. Hard to believe that's the same horse, Malik said. He wouldn't let anyone near him back then. Some souls just need patience and the right person to trust, he said. Inside. The rhythm of their shared life played out in simple patterns, her prepping notes for the Conservation Committee, him sketching designs for riverbank erosion, buffers. Don't forget we're hosting the Watershed Committee meeting tomorrow night, she reminded him. I already ordered snacks and chairs, he said, chopping vegetables for dinner. And I made a sign, no PowerPoints allowed. That night on the porch, they sat watching twilight fall. Rain tapped softly on the roof, nothing like the violent storm that first brought him to her door. Just a hush, gentle and full of promise. You heard from your father? Nia asked carefully. Malik nodded. Quotes. Another letter came yesterday. He's teaching a business ethics class in prison now. Says it's made him rethink everything. Do you believe him? I think he's trying. That counts for something. Carter Global still existed, but not as before. Malik had refused any formal executive role. He served on the advisory board, watching over environmental reforms, mentoring the new leadership team. His phone buzzed. It was Terrence Brooks, reporting a fallen tree near the ranch road. Malik stepped aside to take the call. Nia walked to their bedroom, pausing by the window. Framed photos lined the dresser. Their wedding under golden trees. Storm grazing beside rescued goats. Olivia receiving a National Rescue Award. Malik speaking at an agricultural college. And beside them, a black and white sonogram photo. Nia touched her still flat stomach, awe washing over her again. They were having a daughter. A new life, a new beginning. Malik entered quietly and wrapped his arms around her from behind. Penny, for your thoughts. I was thinking how wild it is, she said. You broke down near my farm, and now here we are. 2 years, 1 baby, and a whole new life later. Best breakdown of my life, he said, kissing her neck. You know, she murmured, when I was little, I used to wish on rainy nights. I wanted something to change. I wanted something unexpected. And you got a soaked cowboy at your doorstep, he whispered. She laughed softly. And a whole lot more. Later, as they lay in bed, Malik's hand rested gently over her stomach. What should we name her? Nia looked toward the window where raindrops shimmered in the moonlight. What about Raina? She said. Rain, Malik whispered, smiling. Fitting. She rested her head against his chest, heartbeat steady beneath her ear. They had been tested by storms, challenged by secrets, strengthened by truth. Now they were building something new, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. Outside, the rain fell softly, nourishing the land they fought for, and the future they were creating drop by drop, day by day, together.